Hello everyone, I welcome you all to the ultimate Python journey and I am Abram Misra. I will be your Python guide as with all take and Python. Which is one of the most powerful and most popular programming language all over the world. And in the upcoming videos and in this video as well, we are going to break it down from absolute zero to the professional mastery. When we think about Python programming language, the first question which arises in our mind, what is programming language? So let me start with the simplest question, which is what is computer? A computer is an essential and most powerful and incredibly fast machine which will help you to calculate numbers, multiplications, addition, subtractions, and also giving up So the Python programming language is used as a universal remote control for a digital world. For the digital world, whether you want to build a website, you need a Python. Or train artificial intelligence to recognize faces. It's also need Python. Analyzing financial market or automate boring tasks so you can leave. Let's understand how we can download and set our environment to do Python programming language. So for that we have to go. So we can do in a two ways, which could be further. You can do it online on a site, any site where it is which is compliant for Python programming, and the second option would be basically an app which is for programming language, and the most popular app is BS Studio. So let's start downloading BS Studio first of all and setting up environment to do Python programming in a better way. So we are on the Google Chrome. So we have to search on BS Studio downloads. Here we go at the first site, waiting for the results. So here we can see Windows 10 and 11. Here is an installer for VS Studio, and on the second hand we have .deb.rpm, and for Mac or OS we have an option. So if you have an window application which has Windows 10 or 11, you can download it simply from here. And if you have a Mac OS operating system on your device, you can go for the third option. So if now I am having a window application, so I am choosing the first option. So we have to click on the download, and here we can see it started downloading. So let's wait and for the download. When it will completely download, let's see what happened. We have to wait for some time. You can see we have downloaded that. So here are some agreements you have to accept those, and then next and then install. And now you can see started installing. Wait for when it completely get installed. So you can see here we have finished downloading and installing as well. So finish it and we can check it. and it's now open. We have to continue it by Google. This is my Gmail. Now you can see we have signed in. So to do Python programming, you have to search for here. Here on the first option is Python. So we quickly install it. We have to make an app for Python. You can name it as a Python. So folder you should open from here. Cut these things. Open folder. Click on open folder. Then desktop. Click on Python. Select folder. And then click on. You can put any names on the files, like I am putting kk, and you have to put mandatory .py if you are doing Python programming. So you are ready to do your Python programming. So let me start with print hello. For that you have to simply write print in bracket double quotation hello world, and for execution. So we were on the setup of the environment of the to do Python programming, and for that we need to install perfect compiler to do programming and execution of the code. For that you have to search from here. Here you can download Python compilers easily, and then after that installing that, you can see I had downloaded it earlier. For me it's not required. If you want to download you can do it from there. So we have an example, easy example, how to do Python programming, which is done by every beginner in the first programming. Like it is to print hello world, So you have to write, first of all you have to write print, then in brackets you can give spaces, or if you don't want to give spaces, it's your choice. And if you are giving variables input, you need to have double quotations here, and you can give spaces if you want. I'm giving it, then write hello world, then this is done, and from here you can run, and you can see we had executed this code. You can see here we had written here, and we had executed our code successfully. So easily you can do it by a single line of code. You can execute code of Python. So in the next video we will talk about other operators in Python and how can we enhance our skills in Python. And second, and one of the most convenient way to do Python programming is just to having a Chrome, and you can search best compiler available online on the sites. And for me it would be one compiler. You can search here, you can get every click on the first site here, and here you can see you have so many languages available to do and compile them. Also we have to choose Python here, and it isn't pre-installed, and you don't have to do nothing, and you don't have to set up any kind of environment to do programming here. You just have to write programming codes, and it will be executed directly here, and you can write it here, and by run option you can execute your code, and like that this happen here. Print hello. In the previously I had told you that how to do, and same exactly happen here. Like in Visual Studio VS Code, you have executed below on the screen, and here you can execute right side of the screen halfway. You can make it shorter or longer size as you want. So this would be the perfect site for you to do any kind of compilation. So previously I had told you how to write a simple code in Python, and how to interpret it and how to execute it. So let's deep dive into types of errors and execution modes in Python. So let's start with Python mode of interpretations. So the instructions called source code in Python programming language can be executed in two ways. So these two ways are interactive modes and normal or script mode. So in interactive mode, lines of codes are directly written and executed in the Python interpreter shell, so which instantaneously provides the result. But in the normal or script mode, the source code is saved to a file with .py extension, as I had earlier done in VS Code, saving our files ending with .py with any name, which shows that it is a Python interpreter code file. So, and the file executed by the Python interpreter if we put .py at the end. But in interactive mode, like we had done on the Chrome on the site, one code where we directly we don't have to save files. We write code, and then it will interpret it if we run the code. So like that. Uh, we will use regular way of running code, which means we are going to write our code in a file with .py as usual. This is a practice adopted by building extensive programs in Python. So for example, the calculator, we have to save names like calculator.py is called Python source file. Here Python programs are being executed, it will show that. Okay. So if we talk about Python program statements, they have to be entered and saved in a file through a text editor, and the file has to be executed to produce result. If there are any kinds of error in Python codes, then the system will let you know so that you can fix them as well. So it will show that as well. So for that, let me talk about errors. And errors are, there are two types, which are syntax error and runtime error. So if we talk about syntax error, which means they are like grammatical errors in English. That is exactly the same thing happen in syntax error. They occurs when the defined rules are not followed. Like if we have print statement, if we are doing a statement incorrectly, like print, we are printing as PRI. Here we are printing PRI NT. Instead of print, we are writing PRIN, and in bracket hello world. Here you can see that it is wrong, and this is the example of syntax error. So the Python interpreter generates the following syntax error as it does not find name as PRIN, as the correct method is name is print. So it will be not executed well, so it will not generate any kind of result. So for that we have to correct this. Instead of print, we have to write it as a print. So for that we have to change here print, and then we will execute this, and you can see it's executed. uh, so syntax, this is all about the syntax error. But if we talk about runtime error, which actually happen when the program is being run and there is no kind of error, but there are some errors, because of that runtime errors happen. So it happens due to algorithm and logics are wrong operations, like dividing by zero. It happens and during the program execution, then runtime error will happen. Like if we are taking here, you can see a is equal to 10 and b is equal to 0. If we are printing a slash b, or you can say a divided by b, which means 10 divided by 0, this will be undefined. So this is an example of syntax error. This happen when we divide any number by 0. This will show an syntax error. There are so many high level languages which happen, not only Python, there are so many high level languages, and according to these languages, they are characterized in the different kind of languages. Like we have interpreted languages and functional languages. Third is compiled languages, and fourth, procedural language, scripting languages, concurrency oriented languages, object oriented languages. These are the some categories of the high level languages. So let's talk about one by one about these languages. So if first of all we talk about interpreted languages, so these languages are executed line by line and interpreted without prior compilation. That means it will execute code line by line. If you are writing 10 line of code, it will execute first line, then second line, then third line, then fourth line, and repeatedly that how many lines you have written. According to that, it will execute line by line, and when it will find any kind of error, it will stop at that position and will not generate any kind of result. It will generate only errors. So it is interpreted languages, it happens, it works like that. So examples are, obviously it includes Python, because Python is an interpreted languages, and then other examples are Ruby and JavaScript. So second one is functional languages. These languages treats functions as important parts and promote a way of programming where functions are used a lot. So these are designed on a concept of mathematical functions that use conditional expressions and recursions to perform compile computations. So examples include Haskell, Lisp, and Erlang. These are the examples of functional languages which we don't have to study about. So third one is compiled languages. And if we talk about compiled languages, these languages require compilations before execution. So the source code is transformed into machine code or intermediate code. Examples of these types of high level languages are C and C++ and Rust. So we have another type of HLL, which is procedural language. So these languages follow a procedural programming paradigm and emphasizing the use of procedures or functions uh, to organize code. Example, it includes C, Pascal, Fortran. These are the few examples of procedural languages. So if we talk about another languages which is part of the high level languages is scripting language. These languages are interpreted and used by automating tasks and scripting applications. And examples for these languages are Python, obviously, it is interpreted languages, and scripting language is also interpreted. So Python is there, and Perl, Ruby, and Bash. So we have another type of HLL, which is concurrency oriented language. So these languages are designed to handle multiple tasks at the same time, working together. Example include Golang, which is, and Erlang. These are examples of concurrency oriented language. And the last type of high level language, which is HLL, is object oriented languages. So these languages supports object oriented programming. Oops, we know as a simpler way. And the concept is like classes, objects, inheritance, and polymorphisms. Like it also have some programming languages like it includes like Java, C++, C hash, and Python. These are the examples of object oriented language or object oriented programming. Although not programming languages, markup languages like HTML, XML, and JSON are widely used for data representation and documentation structuring also. So these are all about HLLs. Thank you. So let's talk about comments in Python. So basically, if we talk about comments, let's talk about few more things in Python that are comments, white space, characters, and tokens as well. So computer program is collection of instructions or statements. So a Python program is usually composed of multiple statements. Each statement is composed of one or more types of combinations of following, which are comments, white space, characters, and tokens. So if we talk about comments specifically, so in computer programs, a comment is used to mark a section of code as a non-executable. That means it will not going to execute while running the code. So a comment can be used to explain Python code so one can understand the code better, which means if we are writing a code, we use comment in between those codes for someone else, like someone new. If someone new is coming and want to execute code after you had done, and it is if you want to start from where you had and your code, and if we want to understand what is written up there and what is for up to where you had written, and what are the things you had written, you can write it on the comment. And if you want to learn that, if you want to know, you can see the comment, and the comment will not affect the code and it will not execute. So the comment is used to prevent execution when testing code. That means it will not going to execute while running the code. So in Python there are two types of code comments. In Python there are two types of comments, which are single line comments and double line comments. In single line comments, we start with hash symbol, as we can see here, and everything after it on the same line is treated as comment. That means if your comment is start with hash, that means until the line it will be your treated as your comment. So if you had written hash, whole line will be treated as comment. But if you has written hash, and if you want to, if you had commented one line, and if you want to comment for up to two or more lines, you have multiple line comment, which is also known as doc string comment. These are enclosed by triple quotes or double quotes, which mean they are enclosed between double quote, which mean you have written n number of lines of comment, and if you enclose those lines with triple quotes, it will be whole statement will be treated as comment. So for that we will learn in further about docstring comments. Let's continue with our hash comments, how it will work. So there are few more points regarding to this type of comment, which is hash. The hash character must be specified in the at the beginning of comment line. That means before writing something, if you want to comment it, you have to write hash. You have to put hash symbol in the beginning of your line to comment it. So Python style guide suggests that each line of block comments start with hash and a single line space. That means after hash you have to put a space separated comma. So for that you have to put in space as well. So and one more important thing is comment do not nest to each other. That means hash has no special meaning inside a comment line that start with hash. One cannot write comment inside string literally, which are enclosed between single quote or double quote. The hash character inside a string literally treated as a part of string content. So in a comment, anything written after hash in a particular line is ignored by interpreter. That means it all will be included in a comment statement, which I'm telling you in the statement that it will be ignored by interpreter. That means interpreter will not execute those things. So meaning it will be not executable program. So removing the comment is removing the comment is just by removing the hash. You can remove the comment. Let us talk about white space characters. If we talk about white space characters, which includes tabs and new lines and white space as well. So Python use indentation as white space at the beginning of a line to define a block of code instead of braces, as in other languages. So proper use of white space makes Python code more readable, and extra white space inside a statement is generally ignored by indentation, except indentations. It is ignored by interpreter. So these are the some characteristics of white space characters. So let's talk about tokens. If we talk about tokens, which are the smallest building blocks of Python program, every statement is made up of tokens. So the main types of tokens in Python are keywords and identifiers, literals, and operators with delimiters. So if we talk about keywords, which are reserved words which is reserved by the Python itself. So, for example of that is if, else, while, for, def, class. These are the reserved keywords, which are also known as keywords, and identifiers. Names given to a variable, function, class, etc. These are the identifiers. For example, if I am taking A is equal to Abhinav and or B is equal to river, that means A is an identifier for Abhinav and B is an identifier for river, and river name 1 is an identifier. We can use identifiers as starting with letters, uh, and it can be end as words. So if we talk about literals, which are constant values like 10, 3.14, which is pi, and if we talk about string, if we are taking string in double quotation in a bracket, which is also an absolute. If we print it directly, it is also an absolute. It is not an identifier, or a boolean terms like true or false. These are also literals. So and other thing are operators. We talk about operators. These are the symbols which that performs operations. Example, symbols of plus, minus, multiplication, slash, equal to. These are the some operators. And a bit about delimiters, that are these are the characters used for grouping or separating. The example for that are breakers, big breakers, commas, apostrophes, semicolon. These are the some example of delimiters. Previously, we had understand about the identifiers, and now it's time to understand deeply what identifiers really are and how they are used and how they don't have to used. So let's understand one by one. So let's understand what are the identifiers. So the identifiers is the name to identify a variable or a function or a class, because or a module or a object. So identifiers helps in differentiating one entity from another, means they are used to identify an entity in simple ways. Python is a case sensitive program language, meaning if we are putting here, you can see age and age. There are two different kind of age. These are same thing, but we talk about difference is that here age in capital letter and in the second age it is in small letter, which is making a difference. That means it is case sensitive program language. So these two things are treated as different identifiers. So if we talk about name is equal to course, and if we talk about name is equal to course 2, these two things are different things. So names are in different. These are the different identifiers because name are case sensitive, and one is capital N and second one start with small n. These are the two simple things which are making difference in as an identifier. So rules for writing, we have to be clear about the rules of how to write identifiers. So for that, the first rule is identifiers can be combination of lowercase letter A to Z. Let's start with letter A to Z. In a lowercase, it could be started, and uppercase is from A to Z. It also be eligible to write, and digits like 0 to 9 or an underscore is also applicable, and it could be written. So examples are my class. Here it is applicable. It could be written. It could be used as identifier. And if we talk about bear underscore 1, it is also correct. And if we talk about print underscore this underscore to underscore screen, it is also correct. And if we talk about underscore number, this is also correct. Second, identifiers can start with alphabet or an underscore, but not with digit. That means it could not be started with 1 to 9, but it could be started with underscore or any kind of alphabet, small a to z or capital A to z. It could be started and it will be perfectly fine. But if you start identifier which is used to identify any entity, so that would be not valid if you start with numbers. So second one rule is this. And third, if we talk about keywords, if we talk about keywords cannot be used as identifier. That means the restricted and predefined word which is defined for execution of code. If you use those words, it cannot be used as identifier. Keywords are reserved words in Python which have a special meaning, and keywords in Python will be explained later. I will explain you. So for example of that, those keywords are def, and, not, for, while, if, else, and so on. These cannot be used as identifiers. And there are few symbols which also cannot be allowed used as identifiers. And these symbols are like semicolon, at the rate, hashtag, dollar, percentile, etc. These are not allowed. The only special symbol which is allowed is underscore. You can start with it, end with it, middle you can use it underscore. This is the only special character which is allowed by Python programming language. If you write company, hash name, dollar name, email, at the rate ID are invalid Python identifier, because these are not allowed in Python as identifiers. So identifiers can be of any length. That is more important thing, because you can write identifiers as any kind of length. Like you can write your name, your father's name as an identifier as your name. You can do anything about identifier except those restricted things which have been I explained you. While talking about identifiers, there are few more important things which we have to keep in mind before completing the topic of identifiers, which are as follows: as class name start with an upper class letter, and all other identifiers start with an lower letter. And the second point is to that starting an identifier with a single leading underscore indicates that the identifier is private. So that means that underscore before any letter or a number indicates that identifier is private. And starting an identifier with two leading underscores, that means underscore underscore then name, indicates that the identifier is strongly private. And if an identifier begins with two leading underscore and also ending with two trailing underscores, then it indicates that the identifier is language defined special name. For example, docstring become underscore underscore doc underscore underscore. That is an special attribute of an object. Let's start the topic of Python keywords. Every programming language usually has a set of words which are known as keywords, which are predefined, and for the programming language, these are reserved keywords and special meaning and purpose as well. They are used for intended purpose only. We cannot use keyword as an identifier or a variable name or a function name, or any kind of identifying any kind of name. Python also has its own reserved set of words called keywords, and the interpreter uses keyword to recognize the structure of the programming. That means interpreter uses these keyword to recognize a program. So Python 2 has 32 keywords, while Python 3.5 has 33 keywords. An extra layered keyword called non-local was added in 3.5. That was not in Python 2. That was added in Python 3.5. So note point is that Python 3 introduced async and await as context dependent keyword, and their uses as identifiers was deprecated in Python 3.7. Async and await were added as keyword, resulting in total of 35 keywords in Python 3.7. So the 33 keywords are as follows: as false, class, finally, is, return, lambda, for, try, continue, none, true, and, as, assert, break, except, else, elif, del, def, from, global, if, import, in, raise, pass, or, not, non-local, while, with, yield. That's it. And another thing is that Python provides a way to print the list of keywords in its current version, and that is very simple to know the list of keywords in Python. That is just you have to just write import keyword. Like if I write out here import keyword, you can write import keyword, and then you have to print keyword.kw list, and you can see every keyword will be printed. So to check the given keywords are in Python keyword or not, we use a built-in function which is isKeyword breaker. This function returns a boolean value. Okay, if the given word is keyword, then it returns true as output, otherwise it returns false. So if we want to check if the keyword is Python keyword or not, you have to print only isKeyword in breaker, and it will automatically give you a boolean value as true or false. If that would be a boolean, that would be a Python value, Python keyword, then it will print true, and if that is not a Python keyword, then it will return false. So the program for that would be import keyword, print keyword dot is keyword, and here and is keyword, so it will print true as an output true. Program 2 you have to do as import keyword, and then you have to print keyword dot python. Here Python is not a keyword because Python is a name of language. This is not a keyword, so it will print false. But if you print, if you try for and, that is a keyword. So for and, if you are doing a programming, then it will return a boolean value as true because it is a Python keyword which is result key. Let's talk about evolutions in the Python keywords. So all the earlier keywords from earlier Python versions are still valid in current Python version. So they can be used as the latest. They can be used in the latest version as well. So in addition, some new keywords were introduced in recent updates. So let's explore them all. So first is non-local, which is introduced in Python 3.0, used to modify a variable in the nearest enclosing scope, not global. So this is a local. This could not be used in a global variable. So the programming for this would be def outer x is equal to outer def inner the non-local x is equal to change the inner print x outer change in inner will be output without non-local assigning to x in the inner would create a new local variable instead of modifying the outer value which is x. So async and await introduced in Python 3.5 formalized as a keyword in 3.7. So used for that asynchronous programming to write a non-blocking code. So second point would be the async define a continue and await pause execution until the awaited task completes. So introduced in Python 3.0 and become result key in 3.5, which is most important to know. So the third point is match and case, which was introduced in Python 3.10. So introduction for structural pattern and matching, similar to switch cases in other languages. So it is used as switch case in other languages, and Python it is used as match and case. So, but more powerful due to support of complex data patterns. You will learn about match case in further in details in further lessons. More details in further lessons. So fourth is type, which was introduced in Python 3.12. So introduced as a keyword for advanced type hinting. It helps define generic type in notions.